Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to use the Unity hand-drawn shader pack to create some pretty cool looking effects in your games. So here I've got a simple scene loaded in Unity. Note that I'm using the free version here. These are shaders, not image effects, so you don't need to have a pro license. They'll work in any version of Unity. And in this scene I've just got a basic character, a camera and a light. And I've got a quad background which I'll use a bit later. So the material assigned to my model at the moment is just using the inbuilt diffuse shader, and what I'm going to do is simply change that shader assigned on the material to one in the hand-drawn pack instead. So there's three different types of shaders in the hand-drawn shader pack. There's outline shaders, fill shaders, and fill and outline shaders combined. So I'm just going to start with a simple outline shader, and you can see what this has done is created an outline around the model. The model's still there but is transparent, so we just see the outline, and you can change the width of the outline like that, make it larger and smaller. You can also change the colour of the outline and the sort of alpha transparency, so we can make it a bit dark like that. Obviously I'm looking in scene view at the moment, but I can just show you the game view, so it works obviously in both. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm sort of hand drawing something, I'm probably not as neat as that. So one of the other outlines is a slightly more sort of scribbly outline. It's an animated outline like that. And let's just increase that alpha back up again, and maybe increase the width so you can see the effect here. So what this does is it actually redraws the outline with a slight offset at each of the vertexes every time it's redrawn, to create a kind of a scribbly effect. And you can change how often the effect is redrawn with this variable here. So that's 12 times a second is now redrawing it, which kind of gives a nice hand-drawn animated effect, I think. And then if we have a look at a simple fill shader, this is an example of a shader that just fills the interior of the model without the exterior outline. And again, this is an animated shader, so if I actually just turn the animation off for a minute, just to turn that down to 0, you can see what's happened here is I've got a texture that's being repeated in screen coordinates. Here it is in the game views here. So as the model moves around, what you're seeing effectively is a texture being mapped in screen coordinates. I should just point out that obviously this is affected by the lighting. If I find my lighting here and move that around, let's move that to say 60, or move it around the model, you can see the texture being assigned is kind of lightening and darkening around the model as I assign this texture. So this is an outline only shader, a fill only shader, sorry, whereas the others are outline shaders. And there's a variety of shaders that combine both an outline and a fill. So if we just sort of have a look at some of the other shaders, for example, you can create a variety of effects, such as, let's just turn that quad on in the background, there we go. So this kind of looks a bit like an ink shading around the outside with a quantized fill in the middle. Also got sort of more of a hard pencil outline and pencil shading in the interior. This is a hatching shader. So if I sort of zoom in a bit more on the model so you can see what's happening here. In fact, let's pause that. What you can see is I've got sort of ink hatching applied. Now this is currently being assigned and bent around the model, but again, as with the previous shader, you can change this so that it is being applied in screen space instead. There's a little switch on the shader, and if I just turn that off and then reload the scene, what you'll find is that in a moment, hopefully, there we go. So now I've got the hatching applied in screen space coordinates instead of in model coordinates. Looks a bit like that. And obviously there's lots of other effects you can customize. Many attributes of all these shaders. You can change the fill color here. You can change a little slider here to adjust the intensity of the shading, how often it's redrawn, and you can tile the effect different times around the model. So there's lots of customization options really with all these shaders to create lots of different effects. And I guess the last thing I'd like to demonstrate, obviously, just for ease of demonstration, I'm just using a simple model there. If I load a slightly bigger example scene, and go to game view on this scene. So here we've got an asset I downloaded from the asset store, which is sort of a castle and a medieval scene. And then if I apply those same shaders as before, so this is the ink shader, you can see it sort of being animated there quite slowly with a monochrome black and white fill. Here's a chalk with a kind of a nice blackboard background, so it kind of looks a bit like chalk drawn on blackboard. Here's that ballpoint pen texture again, which is being animated to make it look like it's being redrawn. And there's the pencil fill shader there. So all of these sort of images, all I'm doing is simply changing the shader applied to the material on the objects, and in this case I'm just putting a simple background on as well, but obviously you don't have to do that. And that's about it. Thanks very much for listening.